Batra Daf Amud Aleph by the Gemara. The Mishnah mentioned that if you buy the babies from your friend's birds, you have to first let the first two birds that are born, you have to let them stay with the mother. Then you could get the ones that come afterward. Now the question is, Batan Brayta says, "Brichari shuna ushniya." When you buy the birds, you have to leave behind the first and the second pairs. Our Mishnah only mentioned the first pair, where it says, "Amar of kahana la kasha," not a stira. Hala, imma. When it says the second pair, it's referring to the one that's for the daughter. And when it said the first pair, it's referring to the mother, meaning they both agree that there's two generations staying behind. But our Mishnah is referring to the second generation, therefore you're only adding one. The Batra is referring to both generations, therefore it's mentioning both. Whereas Mishnah Imma, why did it leave the mother? Why does the mother need one set? Because the mitzvah abarta be'ezuga d'shafkina, because mother becomes attached to its child and to its own mate, its own husband, and that's why we leave those behind so that they don't fly away wherever the children go. The Gemara says, but ihinami, the daughter also. The daughter will become attached to its mother and its own husband. So how will that work? Why would the buyer have to leave behind the second one? The Gemara says no. Imma barata mixed the mother attached to the daughter, but the daughter is not attached to the mother, and therefore that's okay. You don't have to leave another generation. Next part of the Mishnah mentioned regarding the bees. Perot kaveret notel shloshan nehlin umsares. When you buy the bees from the beehive, you have to take 3 swarms of bees and then you cut off. So cut off can usually the word sirus usually means in Judaic terms is referring to sterilization. So we're going to look at that for now. But how do you sterilize bees? You feed them mustard. How does that work? The mustard itself doesn't sterilize them, but rather, once they taste the mustard, their mouths become bitter. What will happen? They'll come back and keep on eating honey. And when they keep on eating honey, they don't mate anymore. That's the way. It's an indirect sterilization. Says no. It means that you're taking 3 swarms, not sterile, and then sterilizing or cutting. It means alternating. One guy takes year 1, 3, 5. Second one takes 2, 4, 6. The reason why I do that is because some swarms come out stronger than the next, and therefore we try to quote unquote split it up that everybody gets a chance at good and bad swarms each generation. But another Batra is a different explanation. No, the buyer takes the first 3 swarms one consecutively. After that, they switch off with the seller. Okay, next part, Mishnah mentioned the beehive. If someone's buying the honeycombs of the beehive, they have to leave the 2 honeycombs inside the beehive for the beehive to last. The honey in the beehive, it is always considered food, and therefore it always can become tameh. We've mentioned before that an item that is food can contract tumah. It's eligible to contract tumah, but if it's not considered food yet, it doesn't have the ability to become tameh. So this opinion is it always has it. Alma kasavar lo ba'ay mahashavas. We see from here that Rav Kahana does not hold that you need the honey in the beehive to have the status of thinking about food. So a lot of items, like we mentioned previously as well, that if I think of it as food, that's the start of it becoming eligible for tumah. Over here, it's always status. Let's say you have a question. The honey in the beehive, it's not considered food or drink, and therefore it's not tameh at all. Against Rav Kahana, so it's always considered food. Says no. The Batra is referring to the 2 combs that are set aside for the beehive. Those 2 combs that are set aside for the beehive, those don't get tumah because they're not meant for us to eat. It's not food because it's not considered food because it's not food for us. It's food for the bees. And therefore, when Rav Kahana says that the honey is food, it means the other type of combs. Okay. Rava says different explanation. Rabbi Lezer is according to Rabbi Lezer, or Rabbi Lezer holds something else. The Tanakh Mishnah says Kaveret Devarim of beehive. Rabbi Lezer Omer Rabbi Lezer says Harehe Kakarka is considered land, considered real estate. We've had this before as well because we know that Prusbul, and it's such considered land that we mentioned before that when it comes to Shemitah year that you want to not have your debt get canceled, you have to write a document on that loan to be placed on the land, and Betin basically holds the loan through Shemitah. That's a principle. And it has to be through land. So much so that the beehive is considered land. That's what means that the principle can be written on it. And it's not, doesn't get tuma. And it's asur on Shabbat to take honey from it because it's considered harvesting, which is asur. Hamim say no, the opposite. Ain't because there's no principle. Then it's not considered land. Automatically tameh. And you're taking honey from it, it's not chayav. So we see that Rav Kahana seemingly says that it is gets tameh. Seemingly holds like Chachamim, who holds that that it's considered part of the ground. That it's not considered part of the ground. Rather, my time at the how come the hold that it's considered part of the ground? Dictate Masuk says we had this before as well. Yonatan dipped the stick into the honey and they called it the forest of honey. Why is it calling forest by honey? Just like the forest, you can't cut it on Shabbat because it's azur. So too, honey, honey from a beehive is also like extracting from the ground, and it's asur like land. That's where the other proves or learns that honey of a beehive is like from the ground. Metzveh, question. Honey that oozes from the beehive, it leaks out, that's not considered food or drink. Now, I understand, it makes sense because the Batra Daf could be talking about those two honeycombs that are inside. It's not meant for human consumption, therefore it is not considered food. That's the way he explains it. Who says that it doesn't make a difference, any type of honey is never considered, then how does that work? The case where it oozed, not eligible to eat, like it went on to something that's nasty. It became disgusting, and therefore you're not going to eat it. That's why it's not become tamei because it's not food. Different answer. It oozed onto splinters, wooden splinters that you can't eat. You can't scrape. Good luck trying to get the honey off of that. So therefore, also it's not considered food. It's not considered. Therefore, we can't get tamei. Let me ask you a question. Honey in the beehive is not considered food or drink. Regarding Tum'ah, if the owner wanted the honey for food to eat, it can become tameh. It also becomes a sort of tameh's drink. If he wants it for drink, it also becomes tameh's drink. We see that beehive has to be designated for food or drink. It doesn't happen automatically. Sorry. Makes sense because it wasn't, because it's referring to the two honeycombs inside the beehive meant to sustain the bees. And therefore, if you do decide to change your mind and make it to your food, then yes, it will change status with your thought process. However, Rav Kasha holds that it's always considered land. It should never, even you thinking of it changing, it doesn't change anything. It's still considered land and not become tameh. Answer you. Taratzachi explained the opposite. No, he doesn't agree. He reads that it does not become tameh no matter what, still holding like the Isaac. Proof according to Rav Kahana, he holds that honey in the beehive becomes tameh even without any thought. It's automatically considered food. During the Mishnah, we mentioned that if Zatim Lakos Menach you bought an olive tree for the wood, you have to leave two branches behind so that the tree doesn't wither and die. Someone buying a tree from his friend to cut, to use the wood. He has to cut at least one tefach from the ground to cut. The stump has to be one tefach high, basically. If it was a uncut sycamore tree, it's the 3 tefachim in order for it to grow back. So then a shikma, if it was a cut sycamore tree, 2 tefachim is good enough. 2 tefachim is the minimum. Regarding reeds and vines, only from the lowest knot that will allow it to grow back. But in the case of palm trees and cedar trees, you can uproot it completely because the fish because the trunk of the tree does not grow back. Now, you need 3 tvachim for a trunk of an uncut sycamore tree to grow back. From Mishnah. And you cannot cut a uncut sycamore tree during Shemitah. Right? So you can't work on Shemitah for the sake of the property if it's going to help the property, because you're not supposed to work on Shemitah. So we see avodah considered labor. Says so the way you usually do it is asur. Because you have to raise the axe 10 tvachim off the ground to cut it. or you can cut it at the ground level. So we see, seems like that cutting at the ground level is bad to it. But anything above it is okay. So we see, why does our Braita say that you need 3 tefach? It should even be 1 tefach. The Gemara says, no. Above 3 tefachim is good for the tree. It allows it to grow back. Cutting it to the ground will definitely hurt it. It won't grow back. Mikan ve'elach, 1 to 3, however, or 0 to 3 tvachim, it's not good nor bad. Yani could come back or not. Therefore, regarding Shemitah, we have to cut it down to the ground because that is definitely going to hurt the tree because we don't want to benefit from it at all. Regarding buying and selling, you have to make sure that the guy is not going to lose out, and therefore we have to think that's definitely going to allow the tree to regenerate, and that's why we have the minimum stump of 3 tefachim. Okay. If we mentioned that in case of a cedar tree and palm tree, you can uproot it because it won't grow back. Now, the Gemara says, but a cedar tree doesn't grow back. He said the famous pasuk. What does the pasuk mean? Tzaddik katamari yifrach ke'eres belivnin instead. The tzaddik is will grow like a date palm, like a cedar tree in Lebanon. What does that mean? Why mean imne tamar lama nemar eres? Eres lama tamar. Why we have to bring 2 trees? Why mean palm tree and a cedar tree? So the Gemara says, ilu nemar eres v'lo nemar tamar. If you only mention a cedar tree, not a palm tree, I might think ma eres and no seperot af tzaddik and just like a cedar tree doesn't produce fruits, so to a tzaddik doesn't produce fruits, which means so to a tzaddik won't have olam haba reward. Therefore teaches you date palm, teach you that palm trees, just like the palm trees have future fruits, so to tzaddikim have future fruits in olam haba. They only mentioned the palm tree. The didn't mention the cedar tree. I might think a palm tree does not regenerate. After the to a trunk of a cedar tree, of a righteous tree, the tzaddik doesn't grow back. Therefore, we teach you the cedar tree to teach you that you will grow back. Yani there will be olam haba, so we're bringing a proof literally from a cedar tree that the trunk does grow back. The Gemara says, okay, there's a lot of types of edited trees. Some trunks do grow back, some trunks don't grow back. And I'll prove it to you. There it's 10 types of edited trees. Pasuk says, 10, he says 10, but he brings 7 from one pasuk. The Eres is referring to a cedar tree. Shita is the pine tree. Hadas is an asa, is a myrtle tree. It's shaman is a parsima, referring to a balsam tree. Berosh is a berati, is a boxwood tree. Tidhar is shaga, is a fir tree. Utashur is shorvina, and the tashur is a shorvina. Not translating shorvina because literally nobody knows. Even the Rashbam says, I don't know what it is. So Shiva has it, but the Gemara says, Pasuk mentioned 7. There's 3 more. You said there's 10. They added 3 more. These 3 things. Alunim is butne. Almonim are elm trees. Almonim is bluti. Almonim are oak trees. Almogim are kesita is coral. Different people. Some opinion says it's different 3 trees. Alunim is laurel trees. Almonim dulbe. Almonim are chestnut trees, and almogim is ksita. Almogim is coral. So we see from here that there are many different types of cedar trees. So yes, one Mishnah is talking about a cedar tree that does grow back, and regarding the pasuk of tzaddik katamar yifrach, and the other Mishnah, our Mishnah, is that you can't uproot it, is referring to a cedar tree that will not grow back. Okay, new Mishnah. Someone buying 2 trees from a field of his friend. How does he look in the karka? You don't acquire the land with it. Rabbi says, "Kana the karka, you do acquire the land next to it." So what's the difference? Since you don't own the land, if the tree grows until they extend over the seller's land, the seller can't trim them. He can't cut off the branches, even if it's bothering him. Because if I'm selling you just the trees, then I can't start cutting your tree if I let you have the tree. If whatever grows from the trunk belongs to the buyer of the trees, and anything grows from the roots belongs to the owner of the land, the seller. The trees die. Bye deal. You don't have more trees, you can't regrow it, you don't own the land. If I bought 3 trees, however, you acquire the land as well. Therefore, if the trees grow, I have to cut them because the guy didn't want to sell me. If the guy sold me the land with the trees, then if my trees go too far, I have to cut them. I can't bother his land now. And if it grows from the trunk or the roots, it belongs to the buyer because both belong to me. they meant if the trees die, Yesh Karka can regrow it because they already own the land.